We are now going to take on tutorial 5.2, starting at page EX278. In this tutorial, we are going to learn more about how to manipulate an Excel table by further filtering data and also creating subtotals that will help us manipulate the data more freely. So on EX278, we will now start learning how to filter, starting with one column. So making sure that you are where you were left at in the end of tutorial 5.1. We are going to click on the segment filter button. So right here it is a filter button for the segment column, and you can see several options. They are 4 items within this column: coffee, food, gifts, and spec dream. We will select only specific ones, in this case food, but to do so we will have to sort of select all. And if you uncheck select all, then nothing is going to be checked. And at this point we will go to the food item, check that, and you can see that there is a partial check radio button. And when you click on OK here and just leave it, the segment column is going to automatically pick up the data that only has food as the item. So in this case, you can then zero in to data that only gives you food. So going into then EX280, we want to now filter using multiple columns. So we will leave the segment as it is and then go to day filter right here, and we will again take the select all off, and we just want to look at the purchase of food on a Saturday. So when clicking on that, it gives us only 5 items, and this is when the segment food was purchased on Saturday throughout the different weeks. So that gives you an idea of how to filter using different several columns. And in order to then free up the filter, meaning clear the filter, you simply go back to filter within the specific column and then just select all again, and that's going to change things. But you can also click on clear filter, and that's going to do the same thing as well. So it is perhaps easier to just click on clear filter as your textbook has suggested. We will now take on the steps explained in EX282 and to select multiple filters. So again, look at the segment filter. Before we only picked on food, and now we want to pick on the gifts and food. So we will unselect, then we will select specific food and gifts and click OK. So you can see that the only information that has been filtered down, the only information that's showing is food and gifts, and you cannot see coffee or spec drink anymore. So that's how you will then select 2 specific items instead of everything. This gives you a very quick and dirty way to filter out information, but filtering is also very, very powerful. You can use it to limit and can apply Boolean comparison to the information, as well as just selecting specific items. So you can, I would urge you to take a look at the bottom of EX282, figure 5.5-18. This gives you an idea of what you can filter. So on to EX283, which gives you an example of the criteria that you can apply. You can find out, where the information may show there is a cash receipt that was greater than $300. So we will want to go back to the amount button. At this point, we want to then apply something called the number filter. So number filters has several Boolean comparison, and we want to pick the greater than. And you can see that they are already so many amounts, but we want to only search for amounts that is greater than 300 at this point. So then within the food, within the drinks, you have these. But I think the textbook probably wanted to show all of the options. So we'll go back and then select the days, making sure the segment is clear, and then that will give us pretty much all the possible amounts, not just the food and not just the gifts anymore. So in this case, you can see that this matches what you have in your textbook EX284. We want to sort this, so we want to sort this from large to the small. So we will then click on the filter yet again, and then click on the sort largest to smallest. That will give us a quick sort, and you can see that now the amount is listed in order of the quantity. So in EX285, we want to now clear all the filters from the January data table. And on the ribbon, you can just click on data and then click on the clear button right here. And once you click that, all the filter will automatically be cleared away. The next step that we want to apply is to create a slicer. A slicer is a very useful tool. Gives us a very quick and useful way to zero in on a specific range of data. So you can see that on the weeks we have different weeks, and this right now is from week 1 to 6, and we will show you how to have a slicer so we can zero in on the specific week. So we want to go back to the Table Tools Design tab right here, and on this tab there is a Insert Slicer. So right here you can see that there is an icon, a button that will give you Insert Slicer. So if we are placing our slicer for the week, we will then pick the week number and leave everything else unchecked, and then click OK. You can see that there is now the promised slicer, and textbook is asking you to put it approximately at G1, so we'll put it at G1. It also asks you now to put in the size group. So you will go to the slicer tools option. You will then use the size tool to change. Because the textbook uses inches, I have only centimeters, so I'm not going to enter the information that the textbook asks for, but you can change the height and the width right here. So I'm just going to skip that portion. The slicer style right here, there are different styles that are already created for you. So if you click on the More button right here, it will give you several other options. So the textbook is asking you to pick the dark slice style. So the slicer style dark 2, which is here, is going to then change how the slicer table looks like. So that brings us to the end of EX265. So we now have a slicer, and we can then use the slicer to filter out different weeks. So in this case, for example, if I click on just week number 1, you can see that while the week number 1 is entered, the information shown in your table is specifically limited to week 1. We can have more than one choices, you just have to hold down the control key and click on another week. So the textbook asks you to click on 1 and 5. So if I click on 5 while holding on control key, oops, then the 1 and 5 is going to be selected. So you can see that the slicer tool has automatically given you a way to select different weeks, and you can analyze the information, isolate them, and just limit your view to a very specific week. So to clear this up, you just have to click on the clear filter icon right here, and that's going to go back to all weeks, and your data will then return to all weeks. So that brings us to the EX267 page. The EX287 page. The EX288 page is now going to walk you through adding a row in order to sum up the information. So this is fairly easy to do, because before we will have to then enter something like a total at the end, and then we have to then do either count or summation or whatnot. Because this is a table, I'm going to hit Control Home to return to A1 now. Because this is a table, you can use the Table Tool Design ribbon right here. And within the Table Tool Design ribbon, there is a total row already. So by clicking on the total row, it will automatically guess at what total you wish to have. And in this case, it had entered a particular total at the end, and more importantly, this is part of the table. You can see that the range is part of this table, and you don't have to increase or change the range manually. It is automatically done for you. We also want to figure out how many records are there. So the textbook directed you on EX288 on step 4 to click on cell B126, which is right here. And then you can see that when you click on this, because Excel is anticipating your needs, there is a down arrow key right here. And if you click on this arrow key, you can have a few possibility to use for counting. So in this case, we're going to pick the count right here, and that's going to then automatically count the number of data, number of items, and it will return a 124 for you. EX289, the filter cash receipts by excluding receipts from week 1 and 6. We want to go back to home, so again, Control Home to go back. And then when we are here, we can see that our slicer is still here, so we want to then limit our view only to 2, 3, 4, 5, and excluding the week 1 and week 6. So we want to click on 2, hold down Control key, click on 3, click on 4, click on 5, and then release the Control key. And that will give us these 4 weeks while excluding the other weeks. So once we do that, you can see that the information is limited, and moreover, your count number instead of 124 is now 112, and the total number has also been changed. It is now 22,225 with 55 cents. So this automatically will then change depending on your view, your total. So this is much better than entering the number for the entire table, because it's more dynamic. On EX290, we want now to change the information presentation so that we will split the worksheet windows into panes. We did this before by freezing the top one. This is a little bit different. We want to now split the worksheet window into the top and the bottom pane. So we want to first go back home, so back to Control Home, go back to A1, and then select the I want to select the row that is just above the end of the visibility right here. So I want to now select row 28, and that could be different on your own spreadsheet, on your own Excel, because the window size is not the same. So in my case, the second row from the end of my visible pen is 28, so I'll park it right here. And then on the ribbon, we want to go to View Ribbon, and within the View Ribbon there is a split icon, right, a button right here. So if we want to click on it, it will then split this screen into two pans. So on the bottom here you have one pan, on the top here you have two pans. You have the top pans. So we want to then scroll up and down. You can see that as you scroll up and down, you can independently scroll. So we can now go all the way to the end of the table and to find where our counting the total is. And I just missed it, so we can then leave this here, and then you can go up and down on the top row, and you can then manipulate it however you wish to have. So this is a good way to give us the total at the bottom while being able to go up and down to look at what's going on. And you can also manipulate the data, and the information will change as accordingly. The top and bottom pans can be removed, and we will do that momentarily. So we want to follow the instruction on EX292 now. So we want to go to the top pans and then use the function key of find. So that's again under home, and then select, find and select, and then find. You can also hit Control F as a shortcut. So what we want to do then is want to find the receipt on January 28th. So I'll enter 28/01/2016, and that hopefully will find us the coffee receipt. There it is. Now this supposedly is the wrong amount. It should have been 244.60 cents instead of 144.60 cents. So we're going to change it to 244.60 cents. And before I hit enter, I want you to look at the total here. If I update my amount, voila, the total here has actually been updated as well. So you can see that, again, this is an automatic way to show you the total down there. So we have finished looking at the different pans, and we want to then remove the split pans from our visual window. In order to do so, you can do one of two things. You can double click on this, it will remove it, but the proper way is go back to the view ribbon and then just on select split, and in this case you have you have removed the pans. If you wish to hide the total row and clear the filter, what you need to do then is go back to the table tool design and then unclick the total row right here, and that will remove your total row. So if we scroll down to the bottom, the total row is no longer there. And then you want to go back home, Control Home, and then clear filter. So on the weekly slides, you want to clear filter so you can go back to the entire data set. So now the filter that was placed is no longer there. The next task is to insert subtotal, and you can start at the EX293 page. To sort the cash receipts and turning the table into a range, we want to now make sure that you click on the filter button here and then go to sort oldest to the newest right here. This is very important to do. You have to start here. You have to sort the information back to the oldest to the newest. before you take the next step. It's so important, in fact, that the textbook, you can see the yellow highlight on that step 1 on EX293. So once you sort this back, you can go to the table tool design ribbon and then click on convert to range. So I'm having a momentary oh, right here, I have a momentary brain fade. I didn't realize where the convert to range icon is. So it's right here, you can see. So once you click on the convert to range, you can see that there's a dialog. Are you sure you want to convert back to a normal range? So you say yes. And then that will give you the normal range back. So that is going to strip off the previous filter that you had. So this is pretty much back to a table that doesn't have automatic filter. So now we want to calculate the cash receipts amount subtotal for each date. And the first thing we want to do then is to click on the data tab. And within that, there is a subtotal within the outline group. So it's right here. So we click on subtotal. There is a dialog that opens. We can accept the default, but the textbook asks you to sort of make sure that you check. For example, the first one, the field to be subtotal, we want to click on the turn date. And then this is indeed the one that we want to subtotal, so you can leave it as it is. The use function is sum, which is exactly what we want. So you can, again, you can leave it as default. In the add subtotal to will be the amount. So this is already chosen. You can leave it as it is. So the information that you select here is going to help you to arrive at the right information, right amount at the end. The other ones, like make sure the summary below data is checked. All that is default, so you can then just click on OK. And at this point, you will see that the subtotal is created on the left-hand side. If you want, you can scroll through, and you can see that each of the date is going to be added. So, for example, I have here January the 7th, 2016. There are 4 items, 4 transactions that were made, and then it automatically figure out what the amount is. So you can see that there are 3 possible subtotals that you can use, and this is what we want to look at right now. How do you use this? So that brings us to EX295. We want to use the second level outline, so I just have to click on the second button, and it will automatically then group all the possible dates together so that you can then see at a glance what day it generates how much revenue. And if I want to show any of the information, like for example on the textbook it says click on January 31st to expand, so I click on that, and that automatically expand the amount that we enter at the beginning of this tutorial. And then if I want to click on the level 1 outline, for example right here, then it will automatically sum up everything to the top, the entire total, so that's 24,000. And if I want to go really deep, well, click on 3, and again bringing up every single day possible each individual totals while it is being summed up. So this gives you a very granular control using the different levels, the subtotals, and you don't have to do anything yourself. So it is a very good analyzing tool. The last step in tutorial is to remove the subtotal from the text receipt data. So on the data tab, we will then want to unclick the subtotal button. So the information that is presented is as we saw before, but this time we want to just click on remove all, and that will then bring the data back to the original information. So making sure that you click on the cell inside the range, and then on the ribbon you do the insert tab, and then you will then click on the table button to create the original table again, to make sure that you have the range, you have the table has headers. And at this point the table name got changed because you bring the table back to range and then bring the range back to table, so you have to then reinsert January date right here, so that the table now is renamed back to here. So this is the end of tutorial 5.2.